two things people complain about when
Hmm.
chiropractors are practicing in 2075 is
Hmm.
new patients
Hmm.
and new patients.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
or new patients and
Yeah.
training staff. I'm sorry.
Sure. Hmm.
So
Yep.
when it comes down to it,
Hmm.
what do you do to decide who's in the right seat and who's
Hmm.
qualified? And how do you know on an interview? Is there a screening process?
Yeah. So it's changed. We used to do all the evolution of our. I won't try to take too much of your time. We used to do group interviews, and so
Hmm.
we would put 10 people in a room. Take 10. We schedule them, email them, confirm them, show them up. 10 people in a room, and we would do three truths and a lie. So we would go, everybody stand up, give me three truths and a lie. So we'd have somebody stand up and say, I love bubble gum and I love blue and I like X, Y, and Z. What you're looking for in that person is somebody that could handle a phone and they could go, and you go, you're not sure what it is because they could think on their feet, they could stand up and speak in front of a group, they could do all these things. Does that make sense? Like there's something to be, and then we do the interview process, and then we would go from 10 down to two down to one, and we would do basically one-on-ones, then working interviews. And so there was a weeding out process.
Right.
Now, COVID has changed everything. So we no longer do group interviews because people are lazy, don't want to show up. So we have an open Tuesday from 12 to 1, show up and bring your resume appointment. We want to hire somebody, we put it in Indeed, we put it at all the places, say, if you want a job, show up, bring us your resume, and we'll shake your hand. And so that's our new process. So we go, okay, great. They show up, here's a resume, and right away, do they resonate well? Like, do they have good aura and energy about them? How do they feel like being in the office? Are they, awkward or, smell really funny, right? I mean, do they smoke? Like our rule, no smokers, period. Smoke, you're not allowed to work in my office, period. It goes against all health in every direction we do, right? So it's one of those things that then you do one-on-ones and you talk with them why they want to do it. And then you do working interviews, have them come in for an hour or two, walk around, say, is this for you? Get a feel for them. And then you have to figure out what you're hiring for. So, Vinny, when you first start off, you're hiring for everybody, the jack of all trades. The person that I had 5 years ago would be a terrible fit in my system today because they were doing too much. They wouldn't be able to take that one role. I had to split them up into two roles. So when you as a new doc, you're looking for the jack of all trades that could do most of everything okay, because that's good enough for now, because you don't need to have the overhead of three people, which is crazy, right? So as you evolve, you get more specific. The specificity of which you choose your position that you hire for, you have different questions, different answers, different things. Like when we hire a therapy CA, is very different. That person's like that person, we have different tests for that person versus if you're a front desk existing, it should be like, hey, here's 10 names. Get ready to remember all of our names and what our dogs are. And they go, you're John, you have a cat named Sue, you're Billy, you have a this and this, and you have that. They're like, that's the person you want at the front desk, because they could see faces and remember names and pull them up, because there's nothing worse than a patient walk into your office and there's this really awkward silence and everybody goes, right? They don't know who it is, right? So that person is very different. They want to go, you're John. Come on back, John. Welcome. Big friendly smile, right? So that's why I said this is a muscle that needs to be built by new grads that they don't have. I can't tell you, here's a funny story. Back when I started, it's my first year in practice. I hired this gal. She was really great, really nice. I was a terrible manager. So I went out to did a talk and came back, and my office was closed because she's supposed to be there answering phone. I'm like, it's kind of weird. So look, there's a sign on my door and says next door. So I go next door and like, hey, have you seen so-and-so? Like, yeah, she told me to give you this. It's literally a breakup letter, like her letter in my key and a thing. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. She must have been not the right one. She was the wrong person. And so, now I look back and laugh because I'm like, if you want to see the problem, look in the mirror. So when you hire somebody, when you go through that process, and your positions all depend upon the office that you run, right? And I'll loop this full circle as a new grad, find the office that you walk and go, I like this. This is cool. I see myself in this system. How do I learn this? Because now my associates and my preceptors learn this. They become each CA. Part of my training program is that I take them in. I go, great, you're now this person, learn their job. And so I could take my CA out of the position, put them in, go do their job. If they can't do that, they haven't flexed that muscle, haven't grown enough to build that position. Does that make sense?
Right. Absolutely.
Yep. So learning, like I said, it comes down to it. Hiring people is, we're a people for profession. You need, the biggest thing I think would be somebody that's like got a heart on fire, somebody that's looking for more, somebody that wants to grow, that loves health and wellness. Like, right? Those patients, right? And you got patients that love chiropractic. They get it, they understand it, they're all about it. Again, that's a person that becomes a great CA.